Welcome back, everyone. Week 9 in college football's American Athletic Conference. There were 4 games pitting conference rivals against each other this past week, and then 2 out of conference matchups. Going into this week's action, my season total stood at 61-12 for all the predictions I made back in the summer. Let's see how we did this week. Navy brought an undefeated record of 6-0 into New York to face Notre Dame, ranked 12th in the nation. On this day, the Navy offense lost 5 fumbles, and quarterback Blake Horvath also threw an interception. The the Navy midshipmen dug themselves a deep hole, 31-7 by halftime, and they could never dig themselves out of it. The Fighting Irish then added 3 touchdowns in the second half to hand the Naval Academy a humbling 51-14 defeat. Navy, now at 6-1, will next take on Rice on the road, and will get back on the winning track with a victory over the Owls. Rice, speaking of, dropped to 2-6 on the season with an out-of-conference loss on the road at Connecticut. The final score was 17-10, but Rice could only manage a field goal throughout the entire game before scoring a touchdown on a 100-yard kickoff return with just 3:28 left to close the final margin to 7. It was a wild one in Tulsa, Oklahoma. UTSA came in and worked their will early and staked themselves to a 4 touchdown lead by halftime. Owen McCown of the Roadrunners finished the game with 434 passing yards and 4 touchdowns, but the Golden Hurricane came roaring back. Cooper Legas threw for 333 yards and 5 touchdowns, including an 8-play, 92-yard drive that resulted in a touchdown with just a minute one left, giving Tulsa its first lead of the game, but that's all that really mattered. Tulsa stunned everyone with a come from behind 46-45 victory. Tulsa, with his first conference win, now moves to 3-5 on the season and will next take on UAB, who was on a bye. Tulsa will pick up another win against the Blazers on Saturday. UTSA will go back home to face Memphis with a record of 3-5. Unfortunately for UTSA, they're going to pick up another loss. Now, speaking of Memphis, Seth Hennigan, the quarterback, he threw his second touchdown pass, which gave him 91 for his career, making him the all-time leader in touchdown tosses in Memphis history, as the Tigers held off Charlotte 33-28, pushing their record to 7-1. That's 3-1 in the conference, as they continue to push toward a potential conference title. Memphis' next opponent will be UTSA, as we just mentioned, and Memphis will win again, as previously mentioned. Meanwhile, Charlotte will next take on Tulane, and the Green Wave are coming off a big 45-37 victory over North Texas, pushing their record now to 6-2. Tulane will pick up another win this week, while North Texas goes into their bye week with a record of 5-3, still one win away from becoming bowl eligible. The only other game this past week was Temple at East Carolina. Caton Hauser threw for a career-high 5 touchdowns as East Carolina rolled to a 56-34 victory. The Pirates, now at 4-4, will now go into their bye week, still needing 2 more wins to be bowl eligible. Temple, also going into a bye, now drops to 2-6. Army will be coming out of its bye week as the only undefeated team in the conference. They will entertain the Air Force Academy and will continue their winning ways against the Falcons. Florida Atlantic and South Florida will face each other this week, with both teams coming out of their byes. FAU comes in at 2-5 and will pick up another loss. With a win, a South Florida team will raise its record to 4-4 as they continue to try and make themselves bowl eligible. I was 4-2 this week, raising my overall record to 65-14. Let's see how we fare in week 10 with 6 games on tap, with 10 teams involved in conference action, plus the game between Army and the Air Force Academy. I look forward to joining you again next week as we continue to follow football action right here in the American Athletic Conference.